All right, next up, next newcomer is UCLA. Alex, get us started on UCLA.
A team that Mick Cronin's press conferences in the first like 3 months of the season last year. Oh goodness! I mean, didn't one of them he questioning their basketball IQ and just their intelligence, and then they were getting. I mean, they had some absolute they had some like it felt like a team that like quit mid season, and then they were just I don't know like late January, February rolled around into March, and they were like, nope, we're back. We're back. These are the Bruins. Um, yeah, they get. I mean, they get back. You lose a Dembona, which I'm sure Mick Cronin would have liked to keep instead of seeing him off in Philly now, backing up Shirley Joel Embiid. But you get back Dylan Andrews, you get back Sebastian Mack, so there's your kind of backcourt duo that you were looking for. I'm sure he's expecting more than 10 minutes a game from Ademara this year. Um, I think the Trent Perry ad is interesting and maybe a little underrated. I think he's probably going to get lost in the backcourt shuffle early, but I find it. Again, you want to talk about it's not even a breakup because he got released of the NLI, but in terms of a guy that like looked billed to Virginia and then just like deuces and goes to UCLA as like the 14th guy without a scholarship. I just find that funny. Anyway, um, Kobe Johnson, one of the better portal ads in the conference. I think just in terms of style and play fit for a coach, especially that's gonna work. Like he's
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
yeah, like that such a good coach player fit.
hmm
Um,
And Mick Cronin is all in on that too. I think he said at media day, like he's like I don't understand why more people aren't picking him to be a Big Ten, like an all conference player. And I kind
really,
of tend to agree because he's a fantastic two-way guard. And if UCLA is able to hit their ceiling, then like you're telling me one of these UCLA players isn't going to make first team all conference if UCLA ends up being good. I beg to
yeah,
differ.
yeah. And so I don't want to make sure I'm missing anybody. I think I forgot to mention Lazar Stefanovic in terms of kind of that returning, um, I guess, kind of like lead trio, I guess, now.
hmm
You get William Kyle from South Dakota State, a guy that averaged 13 and I think 7, um, averaged like a block and a half per game. You kind of swing, you get the upside swings a little bit with Sky Clark and Eric Daly. Maybe you can get something out of them off of the bench. And then you add Tyler Bilodeau from Oregon State too, a guy who averaged 14 and 6 for the Beavers last year. So, yeah, there's a lot to like with this roster. Definitely one that's going to contend at the upper part of the conference. I do feel like UCLA is also a team that some have kind of flirted with being in that top three. Could be wrong, misremembering
I've
people's
seen it. I've seen it a couple
totals.
places, and I get why. There are some moving pieces to this, and I think Mick Cronin kind of tried to thread the needle by like picking out the guys who just like weren't working last year and replacing them, like kind of like handpicking the guys that he wanted to stay and being like the rest of you just get out of here. It's just a question of like did he pick the right guys to stay and the right guys to go. I'm very interested in this backcourt. You mentioned Andrews and Mack. Johnson's going to be great defensively. Uh, you have a guy like Dom Harris who's just like a knockdown shooter who will be coming off the bench. He shot 45% from three for LMU last year. Uh, Lazar Stevanovic, almost 40% from three. Having that shooting off the bench, I think, is going to be huge. Sky Clark is an interesting play for me. He's been part of a couple just all time bad vibes teams, and UCLA was not a good vibes team last year. I'm not saying that that's Sky Clark's fault. I think it's more just a coincidence that he was on the Illinois team that fell apart and kind of got run out of there. And then Louisville was just miserable, but he kind of needed somewhere to go. Anyway,
Is
yes.
is is Sky Clark just an all-time bad vibes guy? He was on that Montverde team his senior year that got upset by Sunrise Christian in nationals. Montverde was the number 1 overall seed, expecting to win another national. They did not. Obviously, they won
Yeah.
this year, but
I don't know. I don't know what Mick Cronin has told Sky Clark, obviously,
I don't either.
but the expectation for him coming in should be that he's not the guy. Like they have their backcourt coming back. They have a guy in Kobe Johnson who's going to get a ton of minutes. If as long as Sky Clark doesn't have the expectation that he's coming in to be be the number one, like the lead guard or like even a starting guard, I think everything will be fine. If that expectation has not been communicated, then maybe they run into issues. But I think just as long as everybody on this UCLA team knows what their role is, they should be fine. It's just do you fall into that just bad vibes, miscommunication, everything falls apart, and you finish below 500? I don't think so. I think the talent on this roster is enough to where they'll figure it out. But something to consider. Something to consider for sure.